Hello and welcome to another enlightening episode of the Olah Show. I'm your host, Olaomi Oyedeji, and today we're diving into a topic that touches the lives of millions across our country, the road to self. In recent years, we've seen a staggering rise in the number of young people battling addiction and facing homelessness here in the United States. Did you know that over 4 million adolescents in the US have a substance use disorder? And on any given night, more than 36,000 people are without a safe place to call home. These numbers are more than just statistics. They represent real lives, real stories, and real struggles. They reflect a crisis that affects not only individuals caught in the grasp, but also their families, communities, and our society as a whole. Today we're going beyond the numbers to talk about the journey of recovery and of finding a sense of self in the world that often feels overwhelming. Our guest for today is a testament of resilience and the strength of human spirit. Jasmyn has faced the dark shadows of addiction and uncertainty of homelessness. But through sheer determination and support of a community that believes in second chances, she's found her way back. Jasmyn's story is one of hope, perseverance, and the power of reclaiming one's life. Please join me in welcoming Jasmyn to the Olah Show, and together we will explore her journey, the lessons she's learned along the way, and the message she has for others walking the road to self. Jasmyn, you're welcome to the Olah Show.
Thank you for inviting me.
It's a pleasure having you. You're a strong young woman, and your story is remarkable. You know, when I saw your video on, was it TikTok or Instagram? Or both, right? I think it was TikTok.
Maybe.
Yeah, you put it up on TikTok and then you shared it on our group, and I was like, oh my God.
Oh, yeah, I do remember my testimony video. Yes, ma'am.
Yes. I was like, this is a lot of strength. And I'm like,
thank you.
I need to hear from you, and people need to hear from you.
Yeah.
So tell us about your story.
Really, my story is really God's story. It starts in Ohio, Columbus, Ohio. That's where I'm from. And to tell you about my story and the way that God has exposed himself to me, it's a lot of trauma. Around the time that I was about 4 to 6 years old, my mom lost custody of us, and we went to foster care. We were abused really badly. If I wet the bed or anything, I was beat in the shower with the cord with the water on.
Oh my God.
So it was just very, very traumatic, very severe. And in that place, in that time, a lot of word curses were also spoke over me. I was told at a young age I would never be anything in life, that I wasn't going anywhere, and that my mom didn't love me. So that really put a lot of rejection in my heart at a very young age, and a lot of self-doubt about who I was in God. I was also sexually abused at this age multiple times. My abuser at the time, and I know that not everything starts from a person, you know, I don't know their story either, but my abuser at the time would promise me children as a result of the abuse that we went through, and I cried a lot for my mom in that place. I cried for my mom a lot of times, and I would say one of the earliest encounters that I've ever had with God is one night that I was crying, and in my room, it was kind of like an out-of-body experience. One night that I was crying really deeply and badly for my mom, the wall behind my bed lit up, and I saw the Father, and I saw angels and like stairs going to him, and the angels were pointing up to him, and he just reached out his arm and he just cradled me, and he carried me, and he carried me and he cradled me until I stopped crying. And I know that he continually does that throughout my life in spirit.
Oh, that's interesting. That's a really touching story. And so let's fast forward to being an adult. And I know you lost your home at some point.
Yeah.
And you had to leave from your car. What was that experience like? How did you lose your home? How did you get there?
I've always been pretty unstable, just because of a lot of the dysfunction that I grew up in, drugs, alcohol, a lot of those types of things. I was in California in 2020, and I actually came out here to meet my father for the first time. You know, I felt like that was good to rekindle that relationship, but when I got here, it was very sexually inappropriate, and he actually introduced me to drugs at the time. And that just kind of started a really bad down spiral in my life. I started going into sex industries. I started doing a lot of drugs, selling drugs. And I started trying to commit suicide a lot. I was really running from state to state, different states, really just in a deep pit And once again, it was a place that God rescued me out of. After giving my life to God, that's kind of when I came out here, but I was still, on the fence, kind of in a backslidden state, if that makes sense. Coming out here, I came out here November 2021. My friend actually called me out here. We were both homeless at the time. In that place, I was, like I said, I had known God because I had recently given my life to him, but I wasn't in a place where I was committed to him. I was relapsing on drugs. I was homeless at the time, and it was just really unstable. But once I really fully surrendered to God, he turned my life around. I started a business. I was booked every day from the business, and more importantly, I started a relationship with him.
Oh, that's amazing. So what was it like leaving, being homeless? Were you living on the street? Were you living in your car? What was that experience like?
It was kind of difficult. I had to lean on God, but because, like I said, I was so dysfunctional, I was kind of used to it. We moved around a lot, and I was used to not like having a sense of home. So being in my car and being by myself, that was like my sense of home. I did have to survive whatever way that, I could. You have to make money whatever way that you could. I mean, DoorDash was my best friend just to make money. Sleeping in my car, washing at gyms and bathrooms, anything that, I could do to maintain that type of sensible living while I was in that situation. But yeah.
So how old were you when you got introduced to drugs?
So my first time being introduced to drugs was actually a day before a close friend of mine died. He gave me my first pill, and I was 16.
Oh, wow. What was that?
Xanax.
What does Xanax do?
Makes you pass out.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And taking those type of things at a young age is definitely not good.
Okay. So there's a difference between Xanax and fentanyl and...
Yeah.
So it was pills for you, so it wasn't crack?
It was pills for me at first, then it was cocaine.
Oh.
And then I got... Crazy thing is, one night I was in my home. I had crack, I had cocaine, I had pills, ecstasy. I was snorting ecstasy and cocaine. And I don't know who's really familiar with the spiritual realm, but I began to hear voices telling me to try the heroin as well. And I tried a little bit on my tongue, but I never went too deep into it. Long story short, in all of my story, I'll always glorify God. My mom was preaching the next day, and I wasn't going to go, but I ended up going, and it turned into a deliverance for me from those drugs. I came home and I threw all of them away, just like an immediate deliverance, and those were addictions that I had for quite some time, and they all broke off immediately.
Welcome to the future of media, entertainment, and technology. Meet Rehoboth Media and Technologies, where innovation meets creativity to revolutionize the way we connect and engage. At Rehoboth Media and Technologies, our mission is clear: to provide holistic media solutions that goes beyond the ordinary. We're dedicated to breaking traditional boundaries, empowering individuals, and driving economic and cultural growth of the communities we serve. Whether you need cutting-edge content creation, engaging entertainment, or impactful marketing and advertising solutions, we have you covered. We harness the power of artificial intelligence, machine learning, and advanced technology to bring your vision to life within your budget. Rehoboth Media and Technologies is committed to being the catalyst for positive media. We create unparalleled value for our clients, our employees, and our stakeholders by delivering top-notch services that are innovative, effective, and tailored to meet your needs. Rehoboth Media and Technologies, where your success is our passion and the future is now. So it's amazing how it's not amazing how the devil works, it's just interesting how he works. And, you could hear him say, try heroin, just do more, because the Bible says he comes to kill, steal, and destroy.
That he has.
The more you try something, the more he pushes you further into it, and you just have to take your life back from him.
Yeah.
Oh, well done. So I was going to ask, you had mentioned that you were taken from your mom, so you were in foster care. So how were you able to rekindle that relationship?
Yeah, so our relationship is still in the works of being rekindled, honestly, just because of everything that we've been through. But my mom did gain custody of me and my brother back shortly after we were in foster care, probably about a year or two.
Okay.
Yeah. And I grew up with my mom, but because my mom's own trauma, and I won't tell her testimony, but because of her own trauma and the things that she's gone through, she was very broken and she kind of shut down on us. So I grew up kind of taking the role in the house as the mother. And it wasn't until I was grown, probably about 2021, when all these really bad things are going on, the devil's really attacking my life. I'm on drugs really bad, I'm in the streets really bad. That's when my mom kind of started coming to my heart as my mom. Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting. Okay, so through all of this journey, did you meet people that were able to help you or encourage you out of this space?
Yeah, so when I was a teenager, like I said, at home was really, really toxic. My mom was in an abusive relationship, so I didn't want to stay there. I was in the streets a lot, and I actually went to go live with friends. They were also, I would say, broken people as well, and people just love you the best way that they can. And it wasn't necessarily a positive influence for my life. I was more into drugs, I was more into smoking, I was more into alcohol, going to clubs at 14 years old, and just really in the world. Yeah, it wasn't until that God, I would say God was the most positive influence on me, but he used other people as well, mostly my mom, my aunt, my spiritual mother, my friends, stuff like that.
Okay, so let's fast forward to when you came to LA and then you had that experience. Your mom performed the deliverance
Yeah.
and all of that. So what happened after that?
So after I'm in LA, when I got to LA, like I said, I got here in November of 2021.
Yeah.
I was homeless for until May of 2022. Once I got my own place, I was out here by myself as well. I was in a place of a relationship with God. So it was like he was walking me through step by step. And that's when I went to one and I met you guys and I started getting established in LA, but I wasn't healed yet. And that's why he really has ushered me into the season that I'm in now, where he's really breaking me down and really healing me from a lot of the things I've been through.
Yeah, it's interesting because I remember when we had the photo walk,
Yeah.
I could just sense that there was something wrong, but I couldn't just place my finger on
Yeah.
it. But I just knew that there was something, there's just something a bit off. It wasn't a lot, but it
Yeah.
just, I could just sense it. So I'm glad you shared your story because the moment I saw that, I was like, oh my God,
Yeah,
I should have
yeah.
said something.
No, yeah.
So tell us, what was your typical day on the street like as a homeless person when you were homeless?
As a homeless person, when I was homeless, I would wake up, honestly, and I would smoke. I would smoke a blunt and I would pray. And that's what I did the first thing to kind of gather my mind. I would go to the gym, I would work out, and I would also shower and do my routine at the gym. And then I would just spend the rest of the day finding ways to make money. And when I started to work in the cleaning company, that's when I started to get cleans. And I would sleep nearby where my cleans were, so that way in the morning I could do the same routine and not have to travel far.
So what were you doing to make money before the cleaning company?
Like I said, I was actually in the sex industry, so I was a dancer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I went back and forth into that until God didn't really allow me to go any further with that.
Okay. So was there any time where you were approached by dealers to, okay, you said you sold drugs at some point. How were you able to get out of that? Because I know that a lot of people are not able to get out of that
Yeah.
system. So
Yeah.
how were you able to get out of it?
I really changed locations. When I got, and I had a suicide attempt. Suicide has really been a big part of my story as well. I had a suicide attempt in 2021, I would say July, where I actually had a really strong encounter with God in heaven. He showed me a lot of himself. And long story short, after this encounter, after I got out of the hospital, he told me to leave. And I have a spiritual sister. She texted me. She was like, hey, come down here to South Carolina. And it wasn't really the best situation because, once again, broken people kind of break each other, but it was a better situation than where I was. I got away from the drugs. I got away from the old lifestyle, the old friends, all of that stuff.
Calling all food lovers, are you ready to experience a taste of Africa right here in Los Angeles? Look no further than Value Her, the pop-up sensation that is taking the city by storm. Every Sunday from 4 p.m., head over to the Alameda Night Market at 1114 Main Street, Los Angeles, and dive into a world of flavors with Value Her. We're talking about authentic, organic African cuisines that will have your taste buds dancing. delicious dishes made with love, using only the freshest organic ingredients, from mouth-watering jollof rice to the freshest, creamiest smoothies and juices that are bursting with natural goodness. Value Her has something for everyone. It's not just a meal, it is a celebration of African culture and hospitality. Don't just take my word for it. Come and taste the Value Her experience for yourself. Perfect for family, friends, and foodies alike. Join us every Sunday at 4 p.m. at the Alameda Night Market. Value Her. And so coming to element is clean slate.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, you had already mentioned relapsing. How are you able to fight through that phase? Because I know how frustrating it can be when you say, okay, yes, I'm clean, I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah.
And then next day you're back and you're like, oh
Yeah.
my God, how did you get through that phase? Because a lot of people are not able to do that.
Yeah, I agree. Honestly, like I said, all of my story goes credit to God. I begged him to take it away. And even when I wasn't willing to, he was there in the midst with me. So when I would pop a pill, when I would smoke or anything, I would pray. And the Lord actually revealed to me, he was like, hey, stop taking these pills because the next one has fentanyl in it. And it's crazy because I could feel it in the drug. This is a drug that makes you up, and I was down, if that makes sense. I was more drowsy, which is kind of how fentanyl makes you. But long story short, God really helped me through that. He let me know that, it wasn't for me. He really took the desire away. And then one day, probably about a little over a year ago, I had some pills that a friend gave me, and the Lord just stopped me. He was like, look at the bottle. And I looked at it. He was like, are you going to say yes or no? I said no. And I never took another pill ever again.
Oh, that's amazing. Great job. Well done. So when you had these encounters, how were you able to identify that this was the Lord talking to you?
Honestly, the spiritual realm is very black and white, and he said his sheep know his voice. So when I heard the Lord, I knew that it was him. Every encounter that I've ever had, I knew that it was God. It was just I tried to block it out because I was so deep into my lifestyle. But I knew that it was God. I didn't really know what happened. I didn't know what was happening to me. I didn't know what he was doing in my life, but I did know that it was him. I ran from God most of my life, so I was kind of running from him still. And I was like, okay, I'll get my life together eventually. But he chased me down.
Yeah, God is so amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, I like the fact that even while you were neck deep into that, you were still
Yeah.
able to pray.
Yeah.
And who knows how far that prayer went. It
Yeah.
could have been worse. Because
Yeah.
a lot of people don't survive it.
Yeah,
I mean, I
agree.
go through Skid Row and I see how crazy it is, the homelessness. I see a lot of young girls and I'm like, oh Lord, how are we going to help these children?
Yeah.
Yes, and so this is a huge testimony.
Yeah.
It is a huge testimony. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And so, what motivated you to finally seek help?
Honestly, like I said, I didn't really, how do I say? I wanted better for myself, but I really didn't have a big motivation other than the Lord. And not trying to sound overly religious, but I do mean that from the bottom of my heart because I wanted to die. I tried to kill myself plenty of times, you know what I mean? And I didn't want to be on earth anymore just because of all the pain that I went through.
Yeah.
But the Lord's promises kept me here. He promised me that I would have a better day, that my family would have a better day. And I'm holding on to that even today.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. So we know that society often stigmatizes against people that are homeless, people
Yeah.
that are on drugs, and all of that. So how did this affect you? Did you encounter judgments? Did you encounter misconceptions and all?
Yeah, I would say especially in Los Angeles, if you look the part, you will be judged by the part. So a part of me kind of surviving that lifestyle was blending in, making it look like I wasn't homeless. I had a whole bunch of tin on my car so you couldn't see inside of it to see that I had all my clothes and belongings in there. Or I would put my things in storage, so it just, I could play the part better. But yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so what, during your journey, what healthy coping mechanisms were you able to develop?
Now I meditate. I practice mindfulness. I pray and I read my word, and God is the biggest help that I have. But growing up, I had all negative coping mechanisms. Yeah, drinking, drugs, sex, men, friends, anything that I could do, partying at a young age, anything that I could do to take my mind off of, you know, the things that I had gone through. And it worked until it didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now, with your current routine and your coping mechanisms,
Yeah.
how's that impacted everything?
I'm doing better. I'm way more stable. I'm not where I'm going to be, but I'm definitely not where I used to be, and I'm thankful for that.
Yeah, that's good. So when you see yourself in 5 years, or when you think about yourself in the next 5 to 10 years,
Yeah.
where do you see yourself?
I pray that the Lord will use my testimony, use the things that I've gone through, and just the anointing that He's given me to go into ministry for Him, to help other people, because it's a lot of broken people in this world who have been through things like me and haven't seen God in the way that I have. So I want to show them that He's there and He cares. I see myself operating in ministry. I see myself being a nurse. I'm going to go to nursing school as well.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yes.
Go girl.
Yeah. And I just see myself healed. I know God will finish the work He started in me.
Oh, He has perfected it.
Yeah.
You are just walking into the manifestation.
Yes,
it's
ma'am.
done already. It's been done since
Yes,
over
ma'am.
2,000 years ago.
Yes, ma'am.
So thank you so much for sharing your story with us.
Yeah.
I mean, I see a lot of young girls these days, and I'm like, okay, what are your plans? And I know that one of the tools that the enemy uses is idleness. The idle mind is the devil's workshop, right?
Yeah.
And I keep telling people, if you were not occupied with something good, the devil is going to occupy you with something negative.
Yeah.
And that is what I feel like is happening a lot, especially with, unfortunately, Black young people.
Yeah, I agree.
And the population is increasing daily, and it worries me.
Yeah.
So what advice do you have for people who are currently going through what you have been through and who are seeking help?
I would say, as much as you can, just cut off everything as possible that you can. And when I mean that, social media, get off of social media for a while. Friendships, take a break. Relationships, take a break. The Lord has me in a season of isolation, simply so I can get to know Him and so I can detox from all of the dysfunction. Because when you live in dysfunction, that's another reason why a lot of people can't change, because the change has to happen inside of you. I went to many different states, but I attracted the same thing because I wasn't changed inside of me. So get to a season and a place of your life where you can just rest in the Lord and let Him change you from the inside and reveal who you truly are. Because you're not your mistakes. You're not the things that you've been through.
Yeah.
You're more than that.
That's true. And you've heard it from her. You're not your mistakes. You're not your past.
Yeah.
Your past is gone. The new you is here. So do whatever you can to make better decisions. Do whatever you can to hold on to God. Do whatever you can to have a better tomorrow, because the whole world is awaiting your manifestation.
Yes, ma'am.
The world is going to experience your manifestation.
Yeah.
We are experiencing it already.
Yes.
Thank you so much for sharing your story with
Yes,
us. I
ma'am.
really appreciate having you on the show.
Thank you for
And I
having
hope
me.
that a lot of people would be inspired and impacted by this.
Thank you.
I look forward to doing more things with you, actually. We'll probably go on the streets and minister to young girls.
No,
on
I'd
the
love
street.
to. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, we'll work towards that.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Okay, guys, it's been an interesting episode. It's been, it's not just inspirational for me. It's revealing, because I mean, I see these things, but I've never really had a one-on-one with someone who has gone through this journey, and I feel like I'm privileged to hear her story one-on-one, and I believe that you are privileged to hear her story. And if anyone is going through this phase right now, just know that God has you. He has you covered. Seek help and work towards being a better person. Till next time, it's the Olah Show. Bye.